I'd just like to say that the idea of us having to explain racism to a black man is absurd. That's all I got.
Okay. Honest to God truth, I have never experienced systemic racism or anything. Or racism.
And of course, Brandon Tatum. As many of you may already know, he's been all over social media lately for the whole Nolan Wells case, from Nancy Grace to his own personal interviews, pretty much running campaign for these kids recently. But I wanted to pivot away from that today and talk about this brand new content from Jubilee, the 1v20, and break down various clips that show not only is he missing historical context, but he's playing a very specific, highly paid role. But the real question is he dropping any facts, or is he lying to not only himself, but appealing to a certain crowd? Let's jump into this.
I mean, you should be, though.
Let's talk about Democrat policy.
You should be,
Let's talk about Democrat policy.
No, now you're obfuscating. You are the one who has the burden.
It says right here.
I'm sorry. I do not want to be interrupted.
It says right here
I do not want to be
that
interrupted.
Trump and Republicans are better than the Democrat policy.
Yes, exactly. So the burden of proof is on
No, it's not.
you.
Yes.
Trial. No, this is how a debate works. You've made a claim that you have to substantiate, and you have yet to do that.
I am wrong. So how are you correct in that Democrat policies are better than Republican policies?
Well, actually, do you want to know my personal belief is that the Democrats are fundamentally kind of apathetic to the needs of black people, while Republicans are openly antagonizing the black community.
Give me an example.
So, I mean,
what policy position is negative towards black people that Republicans implement?
Trump this year intentionally got rid of the disparate impact analysis. So what the disparate impact analysis does is that it analyzes laws that were made neutrally, policies that were intended to be neutral, to make sure that there were not any racial disparities as an effect of that policy, right? Accidentally. So Trump has removed the protection for the disparate impact analysis. So we
see that little chuckle right there? That's him like, damn, she's kind of right on that one.
don't know if the policies that we're enacting are disproportionately hurting the black community or not.
That doesn't make any sense. Any policy.
It doesn't make any sense. I agree.
What
it's a
you're
bad
saying
idea.
does not make any sense because the policies that are implemented,
yes,
the majority of the ones that are in Congress are agreed upon by the House and the Senate.
Right.
Democrats and Republicans.
Yes.
And so with that being said, there's black people represented. There's all kinds of people represented in creating our laws and policies.
But that's the point.
So what are you saying that they're not considering whether or not it has a desperate effect on the black community?
So here's the thing. When you create a policy, obviously you are creating it in good faith. But we do not know always how that policy is going to affect the population.
Give me an example of a policy.
Can I finish talking?
Give me an example of a policy.
But I'm trying to explain to you.
I'm running out of time.
So the point of the disparate analysis report is to check to make sure that the laws that we implement in good faith don't end up hurting the black community by accident. Why would you get rid of that?
Why do you think he got rid of it, according to you?
Because he's racist.
To say that Donald Trump is racist is the craziest thing I've heard.
Donald Trump was,
Have you ever met Donald Trump personally?
No.
You don't know him?
No, so you've met Donald Trump.
I've met Donald Trump several times.
So you're basing whether or not he's racist just on your personal...
You don't have any evidence. You're saying because he allegedly got rid of some disparate impact analysis that somehow that has something to do with race and it only affects black people.
But your evidence is anecdotal. Oh, Trump was nice to me one time, therefore he's not a racist. I have
no evidence to believe that Trump is a racist.
Because you are
Where's the evidence that Trump is a racist?
So that's not moving the goalpost? We're talking disparate impact and you start talking about your personal feelings and how you met him, your personal experience. So Donald Trump wouldn't be smart enough to make sure that he engages with someone who's actually pushing his agenda in a manner that would make sure that that person doesn't feel slighted by him. Is this serious? This is what happens with conservative rhetoric. Like conservative rhetoric, they take actual policy and break it down into something like personal feelings and personal interactions. That's how conservatives actually operate. To pretend like we all don't see the things that this administration is engaging in against people of color, of all different types of colors, but in particular, black. As Rachel Maddow has put it one time before.
We are now about 16 months into what has been from day one a concerted and intense targeting of black Americans, specifically by this president and by this administration.
And people like Brandon Tatum, they have to continually ignore history. Like, just completely act like it doesn't exist for them to make their points and be able to stand on something. Many people might say that he held his composure in this thing, but if you're just gonna sit on a bed of lies, who cares? Check this out.
Okay, so black people hurt black people more than anyone else hurts black people.
Okay.
My question to you is why?
Oh, I know. Slavery, redlining, Jim Crow laws, all these things in the past that seem to have affected the future. But anyway.
Well, that's a really good question. I think that it stimulates from a few different facets. And I think a lot of them are responsible, but for the most part, by black people. When you are not raised in a loving household, and you're not protected, you don't have a father in the household, those things lead to devastating outcomes. Young men doing things they're not supposed to do, like we see in modern society, these young YNs, all of these things are contributing factors to decisions that we make.
Okay, cool. So what you're describing is a byproduct of poverty, right?
Notice how he removes all accountability from the things that set black people up in the impoverished state that they were in that led to all the things that he's talking about should be solely blamed on their own individual decisions. Just ignore all of it.
And what we know under a capitalist system is that poverty compounds over time in history as well as wealth. And what has happened systematically as well as systemically in this system is that black people have been pushed away from wealth-creating mechanisms. This has happened for generations, even past slavery. Even if we were to argue that after slavery, nothing else happened. There was no Jim Crow laws. There was no redlining. There was no unequal implementation of the GI Bill. We would still see that, like, our country has lived under the disenfranchisement of black people longer than it has been free. So my question is, what do you think accounts for like the $4 to $16 trillion that was stolen from black people through slavery? Like, where does that equalizing mechanism?
I don't believe that you can say that money was stolen from black people during slavery.
Oh, but
let me explain. Because money wasn't stolen.
What? So labor is time and time is money. The wealth that you build from the free labor that lines the pockets of all the different plantations and honestly the lineage of so many different white families in America, that's not, you can't make this up.
Opportunities were not there because black people were slaves. It's not a fair comparison.
So imagine this. You got 200 people on a plantation and they're making you millions and millions of dollars, right, a year through their labor, right? So what happens is there's no money to steal because black people weren't granted the humanity
you're
to
saying
be compensated
black
for the value
people,
that they created.
Well, let's look at it like this. This is an environment and a dispensation of time where slavery was a fact and a reality around the world.
And we live under capitalism, right?
Let me explain. So it's not like it was somehow uniquely.
Oh, it was very unique to the West.
It's not uniquely in the United States of America.
Chattel slavery?
Majority of the slaves
Do you want to
were in
compare
South
chattel
America.
slavery?
Let me just give you an example. Majority of the slaves were in South America. You do agree to that. About 400,000 black people
Do you
were
want to
made
focus on
slaves
America,
over
though?
time.
Why are we pivoting the conversation? My
We're
question
not pivoting
was
anything. You got it. You jumping around.
No.
Let's stick to
I had
something
a
where
question.
we
Do
can
you
have
remember the question I asked you around 2 minutes ago? I asked you this.
I feel like you want to be confrontational more than you want to get to the bottom of a conversation. You're saying
it's unfortunate that that's the way that you feel about how I'm trying to approach a question.
We need to stick to a point.
What's the equalizing mechanism? $4 to $16 trillion, right, was the revenue that was created through the unpaid labor that came from chattel slavery.
In my opinion, you cannot judge slavery and act as if black people even had a fair chance in the first place.
That's what I'm talking about here.
God damn. She is killing him. And it's crazy that Brandon Tatum is literally trying to disregard or ignore capital accumulation. That's a real thing. Like the way that the capital works, just like she mentioned in the beginning, is the same way that poverty works. It accumulates over time. So if you have set up a system where black people remain in poverty, that only progresses in poverty for the most part. Yes, there may be some one-offs who may attain success. Some may even attain success by doing exactly what you're doing, Brandon. But for the most part, capital accumulation is a real thing. It exists. And to this argument about there was no money there or at that time, black people didn't have the opportunity, does that help your argument? I don't see how that helps your argument. Like, because even if you want to talk about in the past, after slavery, from the 1920s to the 1950s, black people accumulated capital. They had state-sanctioned policies that completely trumped everything that they would do, anything that was individually based on them and their effort. Redlining, violence that literally systematically stripped all of that capital away. Let's be real.
wealth comes from capital, and capital compounds, right, value. So what happens is property taxes.
Are you trying to say that inevitably black people will never have an opportunity to be successful in America? Is that what you're saying?
I'm explaining something really, really crucial here.
I mean,
that will help
can you
you
answer that? Because I think we'll be on the same
You can't interrupt
platform.
me when we're not having the same conversation.
I'm trying to get to a point where we can have a real discussion.
If it is the case that property taxes, right, fund our school systems, build them up, okay? And we see redlining literally labeled neighborhoods where black people were living as inharmonious, full of inharmonious racial groups to the point where they couldn't get the mortgage, right? This was 60 years ago? Grandparents, parents, right, who experienced that inability to have a home. 2/3 of the middle class gets their generational wealth from properties. Where's this equalizing mechanism? Why do you expect there to be a similar playing field?
Okay, I think we're going to go in circles if we go back in time. What mechanism?
Oh, we got to.
I know many people from the right will keep saying, oh, you're bringing up stuff from the past, even though we're saying capital accumulation, meaning over time. But we can give you examples from now. Take a look.
Let me explain this to you. This is my point being proven. It's not about color, it's about decisions.
No,
because
it is about color when it comes to black people in America.
No, a black person can come over here from a foreign country and be very
that's
successful
not
and
true.
race that are higher than
That's
black
not true.
citizens.
Those
That is
differences
facts.
are wildly exaggerated.
It's not wildly exaggerated, it is a
Yes,
fact.
they are.
Because there's no policy in
That
place
is not
right now
true.
that will stop you from doing anything that white people can do.
Really? I'm so tired of this talking point. I've heard it in so many different forms, even from my own black conservative friends. Well, what can a white person do that you can't do? Nothing. Legally on paper, nothing. But what happens in actual practice? How do the systems actually operate? Yes, today there's no sign to say no blacks allowed or whites only. But when there's an algorithmic, institutional, and audit-driven friction points that show that although we all have individual agency, the way the system responds to us is completely different based on our race.
I just want to do a quick poll. Raise your hand if there's white supremacy have stopped you from being successful in America.
Second and third generation African.
No, I'm talking about right now.
I was impacted by the healthcare system not supporting black women when my leg was broke in 2 places.
I would love to know how Brandon would respond to this. You know, if he wants to know personally how people are affected, because people are affected on a daily basis. Look at the maternal death situation and how it disproportionately affects black women. How during childbirth, black women are dying at an unbelievable rate in America.
They wanted to give me opiums, and I refused. I told them I did not want that. I told them I struggle with morphine. Do you have anything else to please provide me? And they refused. They only gave me the opiates. And they told me that I had to just go with whatever. Only to hear from a black doctor 2 weeks later that I could have just had a muscle relaxer.
I don't want to dismiss her struggle and what she went through, but some people would definitely feel as though, those are one-off situations, but that's exactly what he asked for.
I had a white manager, right? There was a huge discrepancy in the count of sales of the hats inside the store. And because I was, for whatever reason, right, the target, they hired trained law enforcement to come and interrogate me under the pretense of first, like, hey, like, how are you doing? Like, how's your money troubles? How's this? How's that? Just to essentially lock me into a story where I was committing this retail fraud, right? They had at least 40 hours of store footage of me working my shifts where there wasn't a single instance of me stealing anything. But because I'm the only dark-skinned black person working in the store, they had someone try to come and frame me for a crime, essentially.
I'm currently getting my MBA from Berkeley Haas, and as a result of Trump's policies removing DEI and such, my scholarship was removed. And this has caused, in addition to his new policies, is caused a cap on the loans. I'm currently financially struggling because I have to figure out how I'm going to pay for my next year's school.
Now, someone like that who's directly impacted by Trump's administration and currently, and not because of his own merit or anything like that, which they always say meritocracy, though it seems more like nepotism. Look how it's affecting this kid. But I'm sure Brandon will disregard all of this. I'm sure he will.
Financial racism. I'm a first generation person to go to college out of my family. I had to fill out the FAFSA. I was specifically disproportionately targeted for predatory loans. I got into 3 colleges. The only college that offered full scholarship, which is an HBCU, the State College, University of South Carolina, specifically targeted me with multiple loans instead of offering scholarships. Later, when I started working, because I was low income, so I had to continue to make money and also go to college, I had to take on those predatory loans, which then put me behind after I graduated as far as being able to accomplish the next level. Specifically, if you take a look at the way that they finance the loans inside of the United States of America, it's disproportionately Black people have these loans where white people get specific grants, even though if you look at the actual transcripts and the testing, they're very, very parallel.
I'd just like to say that the idea of us having to explain racism to a Black man is absurd. That's all I got.
Okay.
I have experienced discrimination. The reason I responded no to your question was if it held me back. No, it didn't hold me back because I fought against the discrimination, but I was discriminated against when I was looking for housing, when I was trying to get my master's degree. One guy even told me it's not because you're Black. When I saw a bunch of white people, he did not want to give me housing.
Honest to God truth, I have never experienced systemic racism or anything. Or racism. I've experienced a person say something racist to me, but it has no material effect on my life. It didn't stop me from doing nothing. Now, can I respond to what everybody's saying? When I listen to everybody's statement, there is no unequivocal proof that what happened to you was specifically because the color of your skin. And we are talking about systemic. We're not talking about one-offs. You guys are giving a scenario. No. What I'm saying is that the occurrence that you're alluding to seems to be a one-off thing. It's not systemic. It's not a system in place.
And of course, you ask for personal stories only to then dismiss them as if they don't actually exist. No, they're just individual one-offs, as I mentioned before. The only way that he can maintain this false reality that he lives in is to dismiss actual empirical data, actual people telling the stories that he requested. I think that all of these stories that these people have can be interchanged between any person of color. I had issues finding housing because of my skin color. I was terminated for a job for something that another white person does all the time. They actually said that they want the demographic to change to match the community. Another person finding difficulty expressing their needs in a hospital, in the medical system. I don't think that these are one-offs just because it happened to individual people that you asked for their story, buddy. Even with all this data, it won't change anything. It won't change anything. He has to deny every actual story for him to remain in the core thesis that individual agency trumps all of it, which is just not reality.
I know that we did not change his mind because this is his job. And anytime you bring money into the equation, hearts are hardened and opinions become more inflexible.
And I think kind of the goal of tokenism and the reason why Trump likes him is not because Trump is not racist, but because Trump needs a token Black person to excuse his racism.
God damn, I could have said that better myself. Brandon Tatum's whole platform relies on giving cover to his primary audience, creating a financial incentive to put down Black people and their collective advocacy. I think it's already clear that Brandon Tatum is a perfect example of what a bootlicker is. Someone who's willing to put down his own community and completely deny reality just to make a buck and to be seen as one of the good ones in the eyes of his audience. People like Brandon Tatum like to portray all the complaints that Black people make as excuse making because it's his job. But acknowledging structural barriers isn't excuse making. It's an accurate reading of history and data. Anyway, if you like this video, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Do you think I'm tripping? Do you agree with Brandon Tatum? Do you think individual agency trumps the actual power system that allows you to get to where you want to get to in this life? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and I'm gonna holler at you guys next time. Peace.